collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at this assortment of 2.5-inch Simpsons figures from Jakks Pacific. We have Chief Wiggum, Homer, Bart, and Ned Flanders. So if we take a look on the back of the packaging, it looks like there's also a Lisa in this assortment, but unfortunately they did not have her at the store that I was at. I do know that there's also a Simpsons family pack out there. These are $4.99 a piece. The Simpsons family pack is $19.99. I tried to buy it at Target previously, but was unsuccessful because it was street dated for the 21st, which is this Sunday, so I'm going to go back and try again. But I did decide to grab Homer and Bart. Now, it's very possible that the Homer and Bart that come in the Simpsons family pack are going to be exactly the same as the two that are seen here. I'll be able to do a comparison when I eventually get that pack. But I just couldn't wait, and I was excited, and I was actually able to buy these, so I figured Homer and Bart can come along for now, and if I end up with duplicates, so be it. Now, I know there's also a Simpsons house/family room diorama set that also comes with a Homer, so I might end up with a couple of different Homers by the time this is done. But I like these kinds of figures. It's very similar to like the Star Wars Mission Fleet, where the smaller you make the figures, the easier it is to do play sets and vehicles. And since we already know about the Simpsons house/living room diorama set, I'm hoping that means that there's going to be more sets like that. You know, there are a lot of iconic locations from the Simpsons. You know, the school, the power plant, Moe's Tavern, the Quickie Mart, things like that. I'm hoping we get to see more things like that, and even some vehicles. I'd love to see iconic vehicles from the show, like the Simpsons family car, that crazy car that Homer designed, something like that. I think could be a lot of fun. So I'm really interested to see what Jakks Pacific can do with this line. So fingers crossed. I hope it continues for a while. But let's go ahead and check these four out while we have them here. So again, they are said to be 2.5 inches tall. The packaging is kind of cool. You have the family here. You got Marge, Maggie, Homer, and Bart, and then Lisa's over here on the side. Then you got a very close-up of the figure here on this side, so there's Ned. Not really much going on the bottom. Spinning it around to the back just shows the figure again, and then, of course, gives you the lineup. Now, it looks like only Bart and Lisa come with accessories, and my guess for that is because they're shorter figures, so to kind of make them feel worth it, they each come with an accessory, but it looks like the other three adult-sized characters do not, so that's kind of a bummer, but we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for these. I'm going to get them out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here are our four figures out of the packaging. I have to say, I think that they are fairly basic figures, but I feel like the detailing and the paint applications are pretty nice. We'll start here with Chief Wiggum. I think they did a nice job, capturing the likeness from the show. I think that's pretty much spot on. Now, all the figures have the exact same articulation points, so the head can swivel from side to side. You have a hinge and a rotation in the shoulder. The arms are one solid piece, so there's nothing in the wrist, nothing in the waist, but there is kind of a sit-down feature. So, like, you can see how there's like a lip here, and then the legs all just kind of, so they're all able to sit. So if they have vehicles or things coming out in the future, maybe a squad car or something for Wiggum here, that could absolutely, he could sit inside there. No problem. I don't think that'd be an issue. But I mean, even just like the badge, the tie, all the accessories on his belt. He does have a gun and a nightstick here, even though they're not removable or usable or anything like that. And they don't really have like gripping hands, so I don't know if they ever plan to make accessories for them or anything like that. But they're just kind of like fun little figures. Next up, we have Homer. Again, same exact articulation points. Head can swivel side to side. Got the hinge and the rotation in the arm. And then you have the bend there at the waist. They also have little holes in their feet, so I don't know if they're going to have spots on the play sets or anything like that where they could attach onto. Bart uses it to attach to his skateboard. But I think it's a pretty cool little figure. They feel pretty solid, honestly. Like, I feel like the plastic feels pretty solid. You can definitely tell, like here, I think this was probably made out of white plastic, and then all of the yellow was painted on there. And so you can kind of see the difference in the paint and the plastic there. But otherwise, I think it's pretty good. Next up, we have Bart. And if you saw my review of the 5-inch Bart, they look very similar. The skateboard is almost identically made. It's painted exactly the same way, attaches exactly the same way, but the figure obviously is different in terms of this one having a lot more articulation than this one does. But overall, I think they look very similar, just upscaled. But we have the skateboard here that can connect with the one peg on there and then the peg hole on the foot. And then again, same articulation. His you can almost kind of see, because of the way it is, you can almost kind of see the joint in there. But I think it works. And I think he looks pretty good. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we have Ned Flanders. I think he did a great job with him. Although I will say his glasses look a little askew. But you can see the eyes underneath. Even though the eyes are painted white, I don't think they painted pupils on them, which makes sense. But I appreciate that they didn't leave the eyes painted yellow, or leave them yellow plastic underneath. The mustache looks great. His outfit, I think, is, they nailed it perfectly. And then again, he's got all the same articulation points. So I think they're cool little figures. There's not too much to them. But like I said, when you make figures smaller like this, I think it definitely lends itself to vehicles and play sets. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for with this line. If you want something more articulated, they also have the 5-inch line offering, which I think is a great alternative. Really nicely articulated. And these are, I think, $12.99, whereas these were $4.99 a piece. I want to do some comparisons to some other figures around the same size. So here is a Imaginext figure, which is probably 3 inches tall, and these guys say they're 2.5. So that's probably about right. I think that makes sense. Here is a Lego minifigure, which I believe Lego minifigures are 1.5 inches, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. Maybe they're closer to 2. Here is a Star Wars Mission Fleet figure, which is supposed to be 2.5 as well. So definitely seems on the smaller side. He kind of seems almost as tall as Bart and not really as tall as some of these other figures. And then just for fun, here is a 3 3/4 inch Hasbro Retro Collection Star Wars figure. So just to give you an idea of where these guys come in size-wise, someone like Bart is probably closer to 2 inches, whereas some of the adult figures are probably maybe a little bigger than 2.5, because I know Imaginext is supposed to be 3, but then again, Swamp Thing's kind of a larger figure. So let's bring in, we'll also bring in Martian Manhunter, just to give you an idea. So I guess it is true, like, Swamp Thing's probably not the best comparison. Let's do Martian Manhunter, because I feel like they're more on par with that. So even though the tag at Target said that they were 2.5-inch figures, I feel like they're probably closer to 3-inch. Because if you look at that, I feel like Homer and Ned are very on par there with Martian Manhunter. And if Mission Fleet was 2.5 inches, they're definitely a little bit taller than that. So just to give you an idea of scale for these. I also kind of wanted to do like a breakdown in terms of quality between these kinds of figures, because I feel like these are probably the best comparisons to draw from. You have something like Imaginext, which is a 3-inch figure, and then Star Wars Mission Fleet, which is a 2.5-inch figure. So with the Mission Fleet, you get a ball joint for the head. Not a ton of back and forth, certainly a lot of side to side. You also have a hinge here in the shoulder, as well as a wrist swivel. And then you have the ability to move the legs 90 degrees individually, which I always thought was nice. Plus, they came with an accessory, and they actually do have, like, gripping hands. Same thing over here with Imaginext. You also have the hinge in the shoulder. You have the wrist swivel. You have the head swivel. Now, these legs move together, but could still bend 90, and had hands capable of gripping accessories. With the Simpsons here, you have a head side to side, so it's about on par with Imaginext. The ball joint's a little better on Mission Fleet, but you also didn't get a ton of extra movement, even though it was a ball joint. You do have that same hinge out to the side and swivel, so I would say in the shoulder department, they're all on par together with that. But these don't have any kind of wrist swivel. Would have been nice, not the biggest draw, I'll be honest. What's more important to me is that they don't really have gripping hands. Now, it almost looks like maybe if it was small enough, you could put something in there. But I would love to see Homer come with a sandwich or a can of Duff beer or something like that. Something iconic to him in terms of an accessory, a donut, obviously. And it just doesn't seem like these figures really are going to have gripping hands. I mean, the 5-inch figures didn't really seem to have gripping hands either. Now, if a character comes with a specific hand accessory, maybe that character will have gripping hands or some kind of hand capable of holding something. But it just seems like to me it would be easier to kind of make them uniform Whereas these two lines have hands that are very obviously able to hold items. These don't really. When it comes to the bend, I think they're all pretty much on par. I mean, not quite 90 degrees, but close enough that I think it makes sense that it looks like he's sitting. None of these guys have knees. They all have that same kind of bend, so I think that's pretty fair as well. So if you're kind of stacking these three up against each other, I think they're all pretty much on par. The biggest thing for the Simpsons is the gripping hands and the wrist swivel. Now, I'll be honest, if I had to choose between the two, I think I would prefer gripping hands over a wrist swivel. Wrist swivel, not really that important to me. It's nice to have, but I would rather them have gripping hands if I could only choose one thing. Otherwise, I think they're pretty much on par. I mean, the shoulders are the same, legs are about the same, the heads are about the same. When you think about, so if this is $4.99, and then one of these is probably, like a blind bag is probably about the same. I think they're about $5 for like a blind bag of one figure with one accessory. And then the Mission Fleet figures were like $6.99, $7.99. But they had like at least one hand accessory and then usually some kind of like flight backpack or small vehicle type accessory that it wasn't a full-blown vehicle, but it was some kind of missile turret or maybe a backpack that had wings that you could flip out or something like that. So you were getting some kind of small accessory vehicle and one hand accessory for about $8. And then over here, $5 each, one accessory and really no accessories. So from that perspective, I feel like it's not as a direct comparison with Mission Fleet because they were a higher price but came with more. I feel like these two are pretty much on par for price, but you got the swivel hands, the gripping hands, and one accessory. Here you're getting just the figure, no accessories, which you couldn't hold anyway if you did. So, you know, they're not, just to draw some comparisons in terms of figures that are about the same size, price comparisons, and what they can do. I definitely like the Simpsons figures, but I feel like they could have been, even if you just compare them to like, then again, these are made by Mattel, which is a much larger company than Jakks Pacific, so there's that to consider as well. I definitely still like these a lot. I'm not trying to knock these. I just wanted to kind of do a direct comparison, as direct as I can do, with something that's the same kind of size, the same kind of price point, and what you get with each offering. So I think these are pretty fun. When these were announced, I was really excited, and I'm still really excited. They could be a little better, to be fair. You know, like I said, they could have the gripping hands and each come with one accessory. I do appreciate that Bart comes with the skateboard since he's kind of a smaller character. So to kind of make him worth the same price as the others, they put that skateboard in there. I do appreciate that. Then you have someone like Chief Wiggum, who's obviously a much more rotund character. So that's going to be a lot more plastic. Plus he has the accessories on the belt. So it might just be a situation where, you know, one or two characters gets a little bit more attention and that's why they have to skimp on the others just to kind of make everything even out in terms of price point. I know a lot of times when they do assortments of things, you know, if one character needs more, then they have to take away from another character in the same assortment so everything evens out. So that's understandable. But I'm still really excited for this line. I think because the figures are small, like I said, it really gives opportunity for play sets and vehicles, and we have so many iconic playset possibilities and vehicle possibilities from The Simpsons. I mean, it's been 35 years at this point, I think. So there's so much to pull from, so much history of the show, and I'm just really, really excited for the possibility of a really comprehensive line. We haven't really had a really comprehensive line for The Simpsons since that World of Springfield line that I think Playmates did back in the day, and those figures had almost no articulation, so these have more than that. They did have like a sound effect gimmick though, which is why they didn't really have anything in the legs because they had chips that were read by the playsets. It's a whole other thing, but I definitely missed out on that, and I've been kind of wanting some kind of comprehensive Simpsons line since then, since I missed out, and this could be it. I think this has potential. We'll see how it goes. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. I'm trying to stay cautiously optimistic, but what I'm seeing so far, I like. Yes, they could be better. Everything could be better, let's be honest, but I think for the price, I think these are fair. I think they really capture the representation from the show. I think they've done a good job with that. Yes, it would be nice if each one had an accessory. Yes, it would be nice if they had a little bit more articulation. But honestly, for what they are, for the price, the detail, the paint applications, I think it's a pretty solid first offering. And I'm very interested to see what we get, you know, as this line continues. I'm excited to check out that Simpsons diorama playset because that's kind of what I want to get out of this line is playset. So as our first kind of playset offering, I'm very intrigued to see what that turns out to be. So when that comes out, I'll be getting that immediately. Stay tuned for a review on that, as well as that Simpson family pack that I've been trying to get a hold of. So I think these are fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.